Going to be an introduction to Premiere Pro. Let me take this off for a second. Since no one else is in the classroom at this time, I can do that. And so I want to come down and I'm going to select Premiere Pro from my programs. Give that a moment to start up. I've got a couple of videos that I took in relation to demonstrating for my Digital One class. And this is the latest version of Premiere Pro 2021. And you have to keep track of the pictures on there to kind of let you know if you're on to a current, the most current version of Premiere Pro. So I'm going to create a new project. This one is going to be called DA1 Onomatopoeia Spring 21. We click OK. Now this is going to open up a new project. Okay, seems rather obvious. But I want to point out a couple of things before I start putting in video assets and some other things. So one of the things that you see, hopefully you can see, let me turn off the lights here. Okay, hopefully we can see that a little more clearly. So you see some different panels and some different sections. Now what I've defaulted to this is called All Panels. And All Panels is a basic way to make sure that you have everything available to you. Once you start getting into more specified capabilities in Premiere Pro, you can, as it states along the top, you can isolate some particular windows because you have learning. Okay, so Photoshop will, or Adobe provides some different videos for you to learn that. Assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, graphics, libraries, and then if you hit these little icons there, you have all panels, and then a couple of other ones. So we do all panels. I find that to be very beneficial when you're starting out learning Premiere Pro. Over here, where it's starting to see the blue line around the panel that you're working on is highlighted. And that's going to be what is your media bin. Another thing is called assets. So when you put video clips in, if you put pictures in, if you create titles, those kinds of things, they're going to be found here in the media bin. This one in the middle here are different tools for editing. You have your selection arrow that's highlighted there, you have your blade for cutting, you have your pen tool, your text tool, and some other things there. This one is called the sequence window, or the timeline. When you put video clips or pictures or titles and put them in sequence to create your video, this is where the video is going to be created in your timeline or sequence window. Up here is where you can do some adjustments for a particular clip that you're working on. When you select a clip or a picture or a title, then you're going to have some options up here to work with things, and we'll show you that in a minute. The source is coming from the media bin. It's one way to kind of clip to select a portion of the video that you want to use in your final video. And then effects controls is going to be something that you're going to use a lot. Effects controls allow you to resize, to move something from one area to another, either have it in a particular area on the screen or to make it move from one place to another. Okay? Luminance scopes and audio clip mixers, we're not going to worry too much about that right now. Up here in the program window, this is where you're going to see what you are creating down here in the timeline or sequence window. There's going to be a playhead, and the playhead is going to show you up here where the playhead is on the video down here. And over here on the right is a variety of different tools and presets and ways that you can impact the creation of the video. So again, you're going to dump things into the media bin, you're going to drag them over to the sequence window. When you have a clip that you're working on, you're going to see it in effects controls. When the playhead is over a particular part of your timeline, you're going to see it up here. in the program window. So I'm going to get a couple of videos and I'm going to put them into my project here. So here's 2 clips that I have. I'm going to put them into the media bin here. See, it says importing files. Now what this is, and if I click over this, you can see a little bit of what's happening there. And this allows you to kind of say, okay, is this a clip I want? Is this what's going to work? And because what happened was, for some reason the program here I'm at a point where I'm thinking, I got to figure out what to do. And I can do, this is called a mark in, which means I'm going to start using the video at this point. And then with a little bracket, mark out. And so I can select as much or as little of the rest of the video to then put into my sequence window timeline. So I'm going to start there.
No, I tried 2021 and 2020.
And they both did the whole, you can verify your thing, you know. Oh, man. So this is going to require my superheroes at technology. So let's go to plan B. Which is
Okay, so plan B. So I'm going to back this up just a little bit.
so this is going to
So I hit my mark in again and it readjusts to that particular part.
require my superheroes at technology. So let's go to plan B, which is this. Okay, so keep out your
And as I go through, I mean, I know what I did in class, so I don't have to listen to everything. I just want to make sure that everything is going to be usable.
over here in the upper right, you have the size of the circle. You see how it's kind of large there, and then it's really large there. And it was down to around 100, I think, when we started, so it was small there.
That's the end of the video. So now that I've got this gray area here, let's see if my smartboard works. So I've selected my mark in with this bracket, and I'm going to select my, I'm not going to select my mark out because I'm going to the very end of the video. Now I should be able to click and drag. Let's see if I can do this here. Oh, there we go. I clicked and dragged. And now just the section that I've selected with my mark in and my mark out is now down here in my sequence window in my timeline. If I want to play it, let's see here. I don't have my play button. Let's come up here now. I have to hit my space bar. You will see you know, it'll start to play. So I've got V1, V2, V3. I've got A1, A2, A3. And so it defaults with 3 video layers and 3 audio layers. Now you can add a lot more to that. I've seen many as, 20, 30 layers on either or both. And so it depends on what you want to do. Now the audio track here, you can tell that the audio is a bit loud. And so I will show you a way to fix that so that it's not so extreme. But I've got the video there. My play button doesn't seem to exist. So we'll come back over here and I'll hit the space bar on my desktop.
My superheroes at technology. So let's go to plan B.
Okay, so that's good. Now now you can see here in my media bin window, I now have a third window, a third option here. So the first one, okay, is what I was working on. The second one is what I'm going to be adding to it. And this one that you see, let's see here, I believe is the one that we just created. Let's see. So we've got 185301. We've got 185301 and 185301. So I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on here. Now I got to explain the 185301. So each video has a particular frame rate, which means how many frames per second. So even though this is a digital video, back in the day when they did video by film, they actually did the rolls of film, and the film had a sequence of little frames, and each frame was a picture essentially. And so you had these sequence of pictures that captured movement from one frame to another, and as it went by in a particular speed, it would simulate in picture the real life of what it captured. Now, back in film, the frame rate of capturing real life so that it wasn't too slow or too fast or too blurry was 24 frames per second. Now, we say at this point the basic frame rate for natural life is just under 30 frames per second, 29.97. I'll explain why in a minute. They can go up as high as 60 frames per second. Now, when you get more frames per second, sometimes that adds clarity, especially if you have a lot of action, a lot of movement in a frame that's due. But we do 30 frames per second. So the first two digits are hours. The second two digits are minutes. The third two digits are seconds. And the last two digits are frames. So when you're looking at a video and you want to establish where to cut a slice of a section of footage, a clip, okay, you're going to want to know, you're going to know where it is. So we really don't have any videos over an hour. We really don't. So we're going to look at the minutes, seconds, and frames. So where this playhead is, the blue playhead, it's at, it was at 18, so now it's at 17, 33, and 0 frames, which means it's the very beginning of the 17 minutes and 33 seconds of this clip. No frames have been surpassed in this, where this playhead is at this point. Now if oops, sorry about that. If I back it up a little bit, there we go. Now I'm at 14 minutes, 59 seconds, and 12 frames. So each second has 29.97 frames, just under 30 frames. Now why is that? Because when you get to the, when you get past 29.97, it goes to the next second. If you have that if you have that time sequence at 30, it goes to 30 to 30, it's a bit confusing, okay? So you've got 300ths of a second, or 300ths of a frame, which is 300ths of a 30th of a second, very little bit of time, very, very slight bit of time, okay? So, so if you're going to figure out where to slice and dice stuff, and you have a lot of video to consider, knowing where it is in the time element and the frame element is critical. Okay, so understanding that is very, very important. So now I'm going to go to my second. So this is where I think it picks up, okay?
The pressure, so you got some adjustments that you can do here. But the cool thing is that if you...
Okay, so it is. So now what I had to do in some respects is I needed to then introduce another program besides Photoshop that could do the effects that we were working on in Photoshop for the students who couldn't access Photoshop. So I went to Photopea, okay? And so, let's see here.
So here, so I just put down Photopea.com.
Okay, so now I did Photopea, and I'm going through Photopea so that people can understand how to use that program. And I think I ran out of, I ran out of disk space. which is another issue when you're filming. You got to make sure that you have enough space on your memory card to do that.
Look at the wire in Photopea is now just like it was in Photoshop. It has that transparent background. The capital T isn't there anymore, and all that.
So it's a little disappointing that it didn't have the rest of my lecture that it was. I'm going to use the whole clip, so I'm not going to mark in or mark out. I'm just going to click and drag and put this right there. Okay. Now, if I want to,
Of this splash again, I'm going to take this splash, bring it down here, put it out of the way. So
let's get to the end here so we can see how it.
upper right, you have the size of the circle. You see how it's kind of large there, and then it's really large there, and then it was down to around 100, I think, when we started. It's a little small there. The pressure, so you got some adjustments.
So I went from one clip to the next clip, but when you watch the video, you can't quite tell. You can't tell that I've gone to the next clip. The audio stays consistent, the picture stays consistent, everything seems fine, so there's nothing that the viewer will say, ooh, he went to another clip. Okay? And now you can tell, so where am I at here? At the end of my video, I'm at 275602. Here's 275201.
So I right click and I duplicate a layer.
Okay, so I'm 275602. Now I come over here, I've got 185301, I've got 90303, and now 275602. So this thumbnail that is in my media bin is what's in my sequence window. So if I need to find my current project, for some reason it didn't load, I got the media bin, I got everything in the media bin, but there's nothing in my sequence window. I look for this thumbnail that has my current status of my video that I'm working on. I can just click and drag it over, and it's going to have this in it. Okay, so the next thing I want to work on is my audio. Okay, because my audio is it's too strong. Okay, how do I know it's too strong? Well, one thing, when I listen to it, I have this very distorted sound. Now, part of it is when I was making this video, I was wearing a mask, and so my voice is muffled a little bit from the mask. I also try to keep the microphone, like I am now, very close to my mouth, my jaw, because that gives me clearer audio. Now, I haven't quite figured out how to adjust the intake volume on the camera, so I'm going to do it here in Premiere Pro. So I'm going to come over here to the first one, and when I play it, you can see how it's red up here.
Now let's say that...
Okay, so that's bad. I don't want that. So I'm going to click, I have this clicked, both of these are linked, okay, the audio and the video. I'm going to come up to Effects Controls. I come down to Audio, and Audio allows me to change or to adjust the audio in that clip, and I can only do it one clip at a time. So here I have level, and you see it says 0.0 decibels, right? Now, what I'm going to do is going to impact that entire clip. There are ways to make the clip start at one level and then adjust to another level, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just want the whole clip to be adjusted. So I can click on these little 2 zeros here, and I can click and drag to the left, and you can see how it goes down. Now, minus 15.8 is a bit. You know, we'll see what it sounds like.
Now, what I always do when I'm working, especially...
So it sounds muffled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it at minus 12. Excuse me.
Visually, is I make copies of the different...
So I'm looking at, excuse me, I'm looking at this panel on the right side where you see the impact of the decibel in a very graphic way. And I'm a graphic guy, so I like that. I don't want it to get to red. I want it to stay green, maybe yellow, but if it gets to red, that means it's too distorted, it's too much. Okay? And so I'm in the green right now, which is fine.
that I'm working on, because I don't know when I might really mess something up, and I can't go back. And I'd rather go back and find an earlier text.
So this is, I'm going to do -9, change my audio to -9.
That, rather than
A little bit louder.
and do it all over again. Okay? And this is my own personal way of working a little more efficiently. So I'm going to right-click on my text layer, and I'm going to
So that's pretty good. It says 9.5. I'm going to change this decibel. I'm going to do -9 and see if it's 9.0. I want to have it the same level as the initial one, right? Now, you can tell that when I play, the playhead moves very, very slowly, but I want to get this so that I can see. So this slide bar here will help me go to the beginning and the end of my entire video. If I bring these little dots together, it stretches everything out so that I can look a little bit more precisely at the area that I want.
the pressure of it. So you got
So now, wow, something went, oh, I went plus 9.5, not minus 9.5. Yeah, that's a difference.
adjustments that you can do here. But the cool thing is that if you want to take, and kind of
Okay, so now I can spread these little dots out, make this space bar down here a little bit longer, and that's going to allow me to see more of my clips and my video overall. Now I come down to the end, I'm at 2756.02, and that's wonderful. Now let's say I wanted to, I got some heads in the way here and that kind of stuff. Let's say I wanted to focus in more on my screen, my demonstration screen. So now I have this first clip selected again. I have effects controls selected in the upper left-hand corner area in this panel. I have, you can see where it says motion, I've got position and scale. Okay, and that's good. So my scale, if I click and drag, you can see how I can zoom in. But now I can't see exactly what I want. And so I go back up to position, I've got my x-axis and my y-axis. Then my x-axis is going to make me go from left to right, and my right axis from up to down. Okay? Now if I wanted to, I could come in and just really just focus entirely on that board.
click create.
And so as I do this, it's kind of a better place to be because I really am focusing on the use of this particular program. Now I'm at 1632 and 572 and 170 in scale. Now I should write that down because when I get to the next clip, I want those numbers to be exactly the same so that when it goes from one clip to the next clip, the viewer can't tell that anything has changed. Now if I wanted it to change intentionally, that's a whole nother issue. But for this, I've got 1632, 572. Okay, so I've got 1632, tab, 572, tab, and then I've got my scale at 171. Okay? So I come back here, and it's the same. So when I go, excuse me, from one clip to the next clip,
On this liquefy. So up here, to the right you have the size of the circle. You see how it's kind of large there, and then it's really large there. And then it was down to around 100, I think, when we started. It's a little small there. The pressure, so you got the...
so now you can see it changed just a little bit. Aha, so I'm at a scale of 170, and I went to 171. So I got to change this to 170. Okay, so now there's not a change to be had, right? So I've got that. So I've got my clips together. I've got my audio at a good level. And now I got to decide, do I want to add a title? Now let's go ahead and add a title, okay? And again, there's a couple ways you can do this, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the T, the type tool of these tools in between my sequence window and my media bin window. And I'm just going to click and drag. just like I would in any other word processing, Photoshop or Illustrator, not word processing program, but any other graphics program. And what it is going to be DA1 onomatopoeia. There we are. Demo. Okay. Okay, that's fine. It's kind of, so it's plain type, it's white. I want it, to be a different color. So now when I come over here to my effects controls, okay, I can see something else here. There's my graphic. I can't seem to see it, so I've got to really, there it is right there. So you can see how much I had to zoom in. And now my question is, my playhead is at 13 seconds and 23 frames. Is that going to be enough? Do I want it longer? I don't know. We're going to leave it here for now. So I click on this, this title, this graphic addition. See, it's on my second video layer, right? And I can double click in here and I can click and select my text. Now you see over under effects controls in the upper left hand area, I've got my DA1 onomatopoeia demo. It says text. Click on that little arrow. I can change my font style, my font family if I want to. Let me take a look around a little bit. Maybe I can find something that's a little bit thicker, a little bit easier to read. I like Arial. And the thing I like about Arial is it's a nice plain text, but it also comes in lots of other formats. So I can do bold, and that gives me nice and bold. Now I've got white text, okay? And I can change the color down here where it says appearance. I do fill. I can keep it white, or I can change the color to something really, make it something west oriented, right? So now my font is green, but that's a little hard to see. So I'm going to do my outline stroke. That's the stroke, it's the outline. And I'm going to make this about 4 points. And you can kind of see it there. Now when I click off of it, okay, it's a little hard to read perhaps, but let's see how it looks when I'm playing it.
My superhero is a technology.
Okay.
So let's go to plane B, which is this. Okay, so keep out your sketchbooks and stuff. Yeah, I may have to do something different here.
Okay, so now I get to decide. I want this title to be from the very beginning. And right now it's about, if I hover over this, then it will tell me you can see if I hover over the start, end, and the duration is 13 seconds and 28 frames. So it's just another 2 frames, I'd be at 14 seconds. And that's a pretty good, it's a pretty good time frame. One, for people to read it and to not get interrupted by what's saying on the video. Okay, so I've got my title, I've got my video together, okay, and now I'm ready to render it. So to render it, I have to select my title sequence window, my timeline and sequence window, okay, and then you can see when I move my playhead, where my playhead is up in the upper right-hand area here, and I've got my effects controls because I have something selected. If I have nothing selected, everything in effects control disappears because I'm not asking the program to change anything with any particular video clip or audio clip. Everything is selected, so that's why effects controls is gone. There's nothing to affect or control. So now I need to render this out, and so I'm going to go. There's a couple ways I can do it. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Export, and then Media. Now you can see the Control M here on that. So there's a keyboard sequence, Control M, if you want to use that. Then I go to Media. This brings up a window like this, right? When the first time you do it, you're going to see AVI, probably. You don't want AVI. What you want is H.264. H.264 is a really good basic video format that can be opened up in QuickTime and Windows Media Player and all sorts of other formats, right? Now I don't want this as my title. This is the title of my first video that I put into my sequence area. I want the title to be Onomatopoeia DA1 Demo May 21, okay? Now, where do I want it? I don't want it in my downloads, okay? I'm going to put it in my DAA. This is an external. I can take this with me home and all that kind of stuff, and so this is where I keep a lot of my things that I'm working on. And you can put it in your Google. Well, you can't put it in Google. You would have to download it to your computer, and then you'd have to export it or copy it over to your Google Drive. Okay, so I believe I have a DA1 overview. We'll go ahead and put it there. Okay, so now, so I've got the title and I've got the place, and I click Save, right? So now when I come, you can see output name is now my new name. And when I look at output, it tells me where it's going. MP4 is what you will see when you're looking for the format of the video, even though it says H.264 up here in format, okay? And then it tells me where and all this kind of stuff. All this stuff is good. I come down to the bottom, okay? Uh-oh, I don't see everything. Let's move this up. There we go. Oh, I think I got everything now. And I scroll down to the bottom. Where did it go? I don't understand. Huh. Okay, hold on a second. Boy, that's weird. This window's too big. Why is it too big? I don't understand. I don't think I can make it smaller. Let's see. Let's try it this way. There we go. I don't know why that happened. That was really interesting. I'm glad that you found that. So I was able to resize the window from the upper left-hand corner. I've never done that before. Okay, so now, so we've got H.264, we got the title, we got the place, we've got, and now you see here it says sequence in and out, okay? Or if you click on this little arrow, you get all of these and you get entire sequence. Now, what's the difference there? In this situation, there's no difference whatsoever. Because in our, let me move this out of the way, in our sequence window here, right, we have not done a mark in, mark out like we did when we did that very first video, and we selected the large portion of the video to include in our final video. You can do that when you're creating a long video as well. If you want to render out just a section of your video that you're creating, you would mark in, mark out, you would select the area of the video that you want to render out, and that would be, and then that would be called the sequence in and out, because you mark in, you mark out. But you have to go to an entire sequence, and that's really important because a lot of people forget that step, and they inadvertently selected the sequence in and out area, and maybe it might be 3 seconds. So instead of a 1-minute video or a 2-minute video, they get 3 seconds of something in that video, and they're very disappointed when they get a bad grade and turn that in. Okay. So now you have two options. I have the entire sequence, 275602, which is great. That's exactly what I want. If I export, it's going to export in Premiere Pro. Now this is a 27-minute plus video. That's pretty long. If the video was up to like 3 minutes, I would say go ahead and do it in Premiere Pro. But now you're getting to a point where if you export in Premiere Pro, you cannot use Premiere Pro until the export is finished. So if you have another video or some other work that you want to do in Premiere Pro, it's kind of frustrating, especially if you have to wait around 20 minutes. So I go to Q. Q is going to open up another program, and it does this fairly automatically. Let's see if it works on this, because I was having problems with this earlier. It's called Media Encoder. And what this does is it takes the information from Premiere Pro and it renders it separately. Okay. Now, when Premiere Pro is creating a video, what you're looking at in this time sequence window is what they call aliases of your actual videos. It's not the actual video. I mean, it looks like the video and it acts like the video, but it's an iconic image rendering of the final video. Now this is going to be your final video. Okay, so you have it here, H.264, match source. We've got the title and everything like that, so that's great. And it says ready, awesome. And I come up here to the upper right-hand area, and I click Start Cue. Boom. Let's try that again. There we go. So now I have the pause button, and down here, you will see the video play out rapidly. It looks like it's in, you know, somebody's speeding it up by 4 or so, right? Now you can also see here the time remaining is decreasing pretty rapidly, okay? When you initially look at it, it looks like it's going to take over an hour, and you think, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever. But what it does is now it breaks it down so that it gives you an estimate of how long it's going to take to render this entire video. So we've got about 6 minutes or so to wait for this video to render, and then it's going to appear in that folder that we selected when we were exporting the video out. So this is called rendering a video. Here on the see here on the screen that the blue line went all the way down to the end. Now put rendering remaining is 0000. This is where I get a little nervous because the last time I did this, it stayed here for quite a long time, half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe longer, and it never completed. But you do want to wait until it's completely done. Now you can see the ones up here, failed, 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 stopped, stopped. And if I get to that point, you know, I'll wait a little bit longer and then see what happens, if anything. I might stop it and then see what is happening in the folder where I am saving this particular video. If that doesn't work, then what I'm going to do is go back to Premiere Pro, render it in Premiere Pro, and just not be able to use Premiere Pro for a while. You know, how long? Probably 10 or 15. Oh, there you go. So now it's done. It disappeared. You can see the green check mark, so that's great. So now I want to go back to my file folder. Let's see if I think it's on my other monitor, so I gotta get that. Okay. So now I can't remember. I know it's in DA AIDS, but I can't quite remember exactly where I put it. So I'm going to go to Quick Access. Let's see here. It's not in here. Here's Automatopoeia Demo DA1. I think this is what I want. And so I'm going to go down here to Open File Location. Okay. DA AIDS, DA1 Overview 19. That's the one I wanted. So now you can see here, I've got an MP4 file. It has the right title, Automatopoeia DA1 Demo May 21 MP4, and it's about 2 gigs, which is about right. And so if I try to open that, I've got my title,
My superheroes at technology.
I've got my video,
Plan B, which is this. Okay, so keep out
and it looks pretty good.
sketchbooks and stuff.
So now what I want to do is I want to put this into a Google Drive for my Digital One class. I'm going to move that off to the side a little bit. So I'm going to come back here to my media encoder. I'm going to close this out because I'm done with this for now. It starts up pretty quickly, so I'm not too concerned. I'm going to go to my Google Drive. So uh-oh, what just happened? Oh, it was something else. Okay. Let's see here. So I go to my drive. Going to go to DA class recordings. Here it is. And then I've got DA1 Spring 21. And then I just take this and drag it over to here, and I'm good to go. Okay.